Hey, it's Vu, and I'm going to take a breakdown here of Ben-tet. I thought he would be a cool player to look at, and can recommend some to me that you want me to look at if you want, because I'd like to do some more of these. But I thought he'd be a cool player to look at because a lot of people I don't think have seen too much of Ben-tet before joining Gen G. Obviously, he's been in the Chinese scene for quite a while, and he's turned some heads in the Chinese scene as well. But plenty of people don't necessarily follow that, and when they have shown up outside of China, there's not too many games to really look at. So I thought I'd take a look at him here. He's got 5 games in the roster for Gen G now, and he's got 1.39 rating over the 5 of them, which is definitely sustainable. He's a good player. He's kind of an interesting player because his aim isn't all that amazing. His crosshair placement's pretty good, and he has flashes of his aim kind of turning up, but he's also got he's kind of good for one kind of shitter moment in a lot of games. Most of the games I've seen with him in Gen G, he hasn't really shown the moments of shitness. Uh, just flashes. They're just usually just flashes. Because he's generally very good, but I've seen him whiff some easy sprays a few times before as well. But yeah, he's more of a passive player. He's definitely someone you want alive late. You want him to be one of your last players alive in those low number situations, and he really shines when he can kind of dictate the pace himself. So especially, I've seen him do things like lurk. Kind of in connector, for example, and when his team can put some pressure and he doesn't have to make a play. He does really, really well. He seems to struggle when he's forced to get aggressive if his team has a death somewhere on the map and he has to play a bit faster pace. That seems to be where he begins to really run into some struggles. And, it could be potentially because he has to rely a bit more on his aim in those situations. And definitely, he's not, unable to go aggressive, but I think the places where he shines is kind of like almost a Rops-esque situation where he's kind of playing a bit off of the utility usage, and he's not just trying to take gunfights for no reason. He's taking gunfights when he knows he has an advantage and can win them, and that's why oftentimes you see him end up kind of high up on the scoreboard, and doesn't really seem all that impressive. Unlike Rops, who does seem quite impressive sometimes when he gets a lot of kills. Ben-tet, he'll end up getting a lot of kills sometimes without really, quietly getting a lot of kills. And here you can see basically they played the bait and switch on bench. He was hiding behind it and he had a teammate near him, but his team kind of got picked off all around him and he stayed hidden in bench to play for the bomb late. But his team continued to get picked off all around him until he was in a 1v4, at which case that one is not, even though the time was ticking really low, it was not particularly winnable, and he just couldn't quite land the shots to win that. And then now he's got the AK in hand, making their way out middle with a few players, and even super long range, he's still getting a body shot. His headshot percentage is around like 40%, which is not bottom tier, but it's fairly low. It's not high, we'll put it that way. I think for someone of his skill level, I would say. So going for the force here off the bomb plant. He's got the AK, so he's getting a bit aggressive. Probably could have seen... actually, I think the Krieg was in middle with him, wasn't he? I think they went for the double peek. The AK leads out. In case the AUG gets the instant headshot, the Krieg can almost assuredly get the trade. So they make their way up Cat here, boost up for the scout, and Ben-tet's going to be playing below it, kind of trying to do the double peek. And Whippy will get the kill onto automatic, but the quick trade from Kusta, and with that mollying towards apartments, now Ben-tet just focuses on market. Of course, someone could be flanking, and in this case, someone is flanking, but they do have the mid play, so he doesn't have to worry about the cat flank, and he can have Kusta kind of plant somewhat safe from apartments and just hold the market run out, and playing a bit of an off angle here as well. If someone comes out market, they're almost always, in this case, they're probably going to be looking towards E-box as they're in the angle that Ben-tet's going to be staring at. Yeah, maybe he's a bit past that angle, can't quite tell. But his teammate does die on the flank. And then Kusta's going to die from the flank as well. So now they've got good information. Well, he has good information as to where exactly they're coming from. He knows that the initial flank was in window, who seemed to have run away. So 2 players are going to be coming through market, and 1 player is going to be coming through apartments. And that player in apartments, pretty unlikely to get to this angle very quickly. So he can rest assured for a few seconds at least that someone's going to be coming out through market. And he can try and get that kill first, which he'll do. And he knows that, in this case, 1v2, it's not that bad for him to play out from Cat, but it's not good, right? It's not unwinnable, but it's not good. So he's still looking for something, but he knows that he can't just sit around forever or they're going to double peek. And then the smoke is going to come out from Steel, and it's just trying to make his way out as quickly as possible to get through that smoke before Chaos is prepared. And it looks like a bit of a miscommunication there from Steel and Cam, because they smoked Cat and smoked the bomb, and Cam just wasn't ready. If Cam had stepped on the bomb instantly, I think he would have actually had the defuse. But more reasonably, if the smoke wasn't on the bomb, he could have, traded on Steel almost certainly. Instead, with the smoke on the bomb, Steel had to push through that smoke as well, and Ben-tet was able to get a bit of a timing there off the back of his flash as well, because he pushed out right after his flash landed to make sure that, Chaos might be blinded. But yeah, it looks like a bit of a miscommunication there from Chaos, and played pretty well by Ben-tet as well to capitalize on all of that, knowing that he had to push through that smoke as quickly as possible before Chaos was really set up. And here we've got Chaos going for the force, and Ben-tet solo in middle, just walking up. It looks like they might be trying to have Ben-tet kind of get some information and check if it's potentially a stack on A. But, it seems like when he's kind of alone doing this kind of aggressive lurk, I'm not really particularly happy with the outcome. And he doesn't check Cat here. I know he's jumping up to the right, so he's hoping that he doesn't have to check Cat. But they do spot him out. And they're just waiting for him now. He's kind of put himself in a situation in this case that probably didn't need to put himself in that situation, and he just ends up getting killed in the back. And I don't think it comes back to punish the team, but probably not the situation you want to be getting yourself into. Then here, pushing quickly up Cat, just getting control, right? He's got Kusta swinging wide to make sure that he can cover if someone swings wide on Ben-tet, and he's getting the information. And I'm much more a fan of this type of play instead of what they did last round. And he's just trying to get some info, and it's not too interesting here. It's really just against some pistols. They can close it out easily before heading into the first gun round. And he's going to be the Underpass player. Tosses the nice little underhand flash in towards Underpass. Seems like it might have actually missed. He gets there quick to try and catch the timing, and then he's posted up here because his team calls that there's a smoke at the bottom of connector, and he's very safe about it. He doesn't want to over-aggress. He doesn't want to do anything crazy. He waits for that smoke to dissipate. He can see it the whole time, and when it starts to dissipate, then he peeks out to try and catch that player as he's potentially falling off, right? If the player mistimes it a little bit and falls off a bit late, Ben-tet will be there to grab the kill. Then the smoke towards top con, Molly on connector, or Molly on catwalk rather, to put his team in position. Tosses the flash in towards ladder as well. And then he's going to be waiting here, waiting for the smoke to go out. And his crosshair placement is actually quite nice here. He's expecting Ben to very likely be in this position. And, he's aiming for the head, crouches down, gets the headshot on a Ben-tet. Really almost no crosshair movement to get that kill, which is really what he would like, if at all possible. But the problem he has here is just a bit of an odd peek there. He tried to clear out this angle, but Smooya was holding an off angle on that, and Ben-tet spotted him out, but he was stopped, and it was just a little bit awkward there peeking into that. I think he strafed out, stopped to clear the angle, spotted Smooya's arm, and then tried to step that extra foot. But because you're slowed at that moment, it's a bit awkward to try and peek into that. And Smooya got the kill. Now we're looking at another eco for Chaos. So Ben-tet's feeling pretty good. He's the one that went wide this time around. They didn't have a player on catwalk. Obviously, Chaos might be expecting that type of catwalk situation. And he's just waiting for his team to clear things out. he was even looking at Underpass, like expecting someone to be Underpass before his teammate cleared it. But Daps ends up falling, and then not only does Daps fall, but Automatic falls as well. So they're in a bit of an awkward spot here where he wants to get aggressive on middle to get some pressure, because he knows that, I believe he knows that 3 players are over on the B side right now, or at least 2. So his team is going to quickly make its way over to B, or A rather, and Ben-tet wants to make his way up connector, but he does the same thing he did last time. He doesn't check on catwalk, and Chaos is punishing him twice for that now. Obviously, it's a bit dangerous to head into connector and turn around to look at catwalk, because obviously you're worried about the ticket booth angle somewhat often. But both times now, I think his team has been out from A ramp before he's even gotten to connector. So the only angle he'd have to be worried about there would be the top connector angle, which I think you can turn away from for at least half a second just to check that spot. Then you're here. He's tossing the utility for his team. Double flash to get them out palace, but again, he's pressured now because his team has put themselves in an awkward spot. And you can see, the 2 rounds so far that he's died without getting a kill, and he's 8-1-4. That both the rounds were rounds where he was kind of pressured to go more aggressive than potentially I think he might have wanted to. And I think this is going to be another round where his team ends up dying, and he's trying to play it here, and Ben's just actually kind of almost accidentally baiting him from this side. He gets a nice angle almost, but jumping up, Steel catches him off guard, and that's another round. I think that's 3 of 3 rounds where he dies without getting a kill, are rounds where he's been trying to do some aggressive plays to bring things back. And here he's got a Glock. It's nothing really interesting going to happen there. So here, this time holding much more passive on Underpass. He knows that Chaos has played in Underpass twice now, so he's just trying to make sure that nothing crazy happens. But again, a teammate of his is going to end up dying in towards middle. An easy entry for Chaos. And he does make a footstep there in Underpass, and that footstep does give away some level of information as to something that's going on. For Chaos to know. But as he makes his way through Underpass, the molly in towards Steel, and Ben-tet will find that kill. A bit awkward looking there, but he does find the kill. And now they make their way up. This time he turns around, but this time there's actually a molly there. Isn't there? I think there's a molly there. So this is the time he turns around, but this time there's a molly, and as they make their way up, Ben-tet turns around to smoke off the flank. So he's a bit further back from his teammate because he smoked off the flank there. And really, in most cases here, 3-on-1 on the A bomb site, they should be able to get this kill onto Smooya pretty effectively. However, Whippy ends up spamming down Automatic, pushing up on the right-hand side, and Smooya just finds a couple of nice kills. So Ben-tet, he's kind of trying to play a little bit back and position well for the after plant, right? Because if they plant here, he's in a good position to try and help them get out of the bomb site and continue to hold control. However, his teammates just get destroyed on the bomb site. And, I can't really fault him too much there. In the 4v3, and they know that it's only one player on the bomb site, they should be able to kill that player much more often than they don't. It's the spam through the smoke that ends up catching them. But it's possibly could have gone to a different angle. Well, it depends what information they knew. I think can't really fault him too much for the way he played that. It's just unfortunate. Here, flashes out to push through, drops out and pushes through the middle of the site, and has a pretty interesting route into the bomb site here that actually does end up getting the only kill of the round for them. But nothing too interesting in that one either. So now we're at 6-4 up for Chaos, and Gen G has been losing some rounds now. Certainly need to turn it around if they want to win. And he's fast through Underpass this time around, pretty fast. His teammates made contact on middle, and because his teammates made contact on middle, that means that an Opper or a Rifler could be posted up on Underpass. So he's going to avoid Underpass entirely. Basically, you need the top mid players to draw pressure and clear out that underpass potential play. Otherwise, if you go through underpass, it's really a massive risk, and more than a risk. It's almost like a death trap. So he's going to have to make his way back around as they kind of avoid the middle play entirely. Toss a nice flash and a deep molly in towards jungle, which is very helpful in this case specifically, as it allows them to cross without having to worry about an opper because it mollies off the angle. Then just a nice peek on a whippy there, clearing out that CT angle. He knows he doesn't have an op, and the only reason to be really scared about that situation is if he has an op. But I mean, even if he has an op, some people like to take that angle anyways and just pre-fire it. Then again, going to be the underpass player here, playing it a little bit slow, but you know, he is in a bit of an awkward spot. If a flash was to come through from underpass, he would have to hear it to turn around. It is, I believe, safe from any flashes over from the B side, though, that could come overhead and blind him. So he's going to walk around, still super, super patient in peeking this angle, and it's actually going to get him the kill. You can see he's just takes his sweet time at all moments in the game. And, you know, Steel, it's 127 in the round. Steel probably not expecting him to clear the off angle. You know, as Mo once said, he's jiggling angles that don't even exist. Although he wasn't actually jiggling it. He kind of just walked into that one. But he had the right eye peek. And Steel couldn't react quickly enough. So now you've got 4v4. Ben-tet holding the angle here. Flash for him to get through. And almost ends up dying there because he actually looks at Cam, then looks away, which is somewhat common when you're trying to clear both sides of the doorway there really, really quickly. You can get punished by that. But he ends up being kind of the first guy out. Double peek onto the player underneath, which is just flawless. And then the molly in towards Market, and he's going to get this nice little off angle here. And he wants to push up and try and prevent these oppers from falling back if he can, if they are to run away. But they end up getting away too early. So that's pretty much the round. Ben-tet does love his off angles. Definitely a player that when he can play at his pace, you can really see him get a lot of work done. But like I said, when he plays it at someone else's pace, it seems like he does have his own struggles somewhat often. And here again, going to be just about the last player coming out. just eats a nade. But this is pretty standard for Ben-tet, being one of the last players out. Third player out is you know, what I'm kind of thinking about when it comes to Ben-tet. You want him to be one of those players that's left alive later on in the round to play out the clutches if things go that way. Then he's just going to take basically a headshot angle here. He knows he's low on HP. He knows his teammates can cover most of the other angles. And if they do come out lower, if they swing lower, he would have been in position to actually get that kill as well because he can just stand up. But now he's smoked off, and he's just trying to spray through the smoke. And, oh, he does come out and find the round. And that's just very, very nice aim and crosshair placement there. I almost forgot this round happened, actually. It's a matter of timing as well. Chaos, they weren't really aware where he was, but he was spamming down through the smoke for quite a while. Ben-tet, I think I've seen him spam through many a smoke, and sometimes it works out, and sometimes he does get spammed right back. But here, let's see what happens. Yeah, so he starts spamming through the smoke, but he gets lost in the chaos, basically. They kind of just forget where he is. So, you know, as they kill his two teammates, he doesn't push out immediately. As the second teammate dies, he swings around as they're trying to pressure on that Palace player, right? Because when they're pressuring on the players towards Tetris, he could try something, but they're looking his direction. When they're pressuring on the Palace player and the bomb is ticking down, he's basically just playing this just for the bomb here, right? He's waiting for the bomb to be, the bomb to be hit, and then he can push his way out. And because they looked at the Palace player, they can't turn around quite in time. And as he comes through the smoke, he intelligently takes down Whippy first, because Whippy's obviously the one shooting back. And if Ben had even got off the bomb. Actually, I think he takes down Ben first, who's not the one on the bomb, and then Whippy. But if he had got off the bomb, I don't think he would have had time to defuse. So it's very nice there. Then the peek out, crosshair placement on point. Doesn't even have to move it to get the kill on Smooya. And that puts Gen.G in the lead, 7-6. And Ben-tet on 17 kills. And that was a very nice clutch. That was a very nice one. And they know they're on the force now. Not even getting at it, really anything necessary for him to do in this position. Again, he looks at the player and then looks away and has to look back. And he's been hitting some nice shots since he's been on Gen.G. So here, going to be throwing kind of, you know, the B utility. Not the standard B utility, just the Molly. As his teammates are splitting up Cat here, actually. He's trying to get out aggressively. Automatic tossed a flash for him to get aggressive here because Automatic was, you know, mollied back. So Ben-tet pushed his way past that Molly to be aggressive and actually push out with his Cat players and try and get onto the bomb site here if he could. But they are a little bit spread out. These players on Cat are stuck kind of looking the other direction, and Ben-tet has made his way out on the bomb site, which makes this a little bit awkward. It's a little bit awkward in this case, and that's why you can kind of see him do some kind of weird stuff here with his positioning to get into a spot where he can try and get on the angle on E-box here instead of the alternative angle he could have had otherwise. But he gets the 1 kill, and then can't quite find the angle there on the player towards bench. But that was kind of just awkward the way they got split up. Him and Automatic in apartments got split up pretty bad because of the molly that landed behind. And they also got split up by the fact that the Cat players I think they got pressured from someone towards connector. So they had to turn around and deal with it. And they ended up just not on the right timing there. And of course, Gen.G rather, it's a new team. Well, this is in January, late January. So this is when they were a new team. I guess they're still pretty new, but this is when they were very new. So you can kind of forgive them for that type of situation. But now 5v5 A site retake. He's going to let his teammates make contact first. Obviously, if he pushes through this smoke before his teammates make contact, he's not getting anything done, right? But even, you know, if he pushes through the smoke afterwards, his teammates need to make pressure is the problem. His teammates don't actually get any kills there, I think. So there's no pressure for them not to be watching that smoke and waiting for him to walk through still. If his teammates put some pressure, then he walks through that and he can potentially get a couple of kills instead. Then he ends up being the scout, or getting a scout. But the smoke off towards top connector basically nullifies him entirely. However, he will actually get the rotate here just about in time. They cross just before he gets there. But he's still waiting for the cross here because you can still hopefully get another player crossing. It's just unfortunate timing here for Ben-tet so far. But still, 3v3, one shot for 2 of the Chaos players. And, ooh, boy, steal. Finishing him off there. Not much Ben-tet can really do about that one. And here is going to be the player that boosts up. It's a nice bait there. Kusta takes some shots in window and then gets boosted into ladder with the saved Galil. So it might, you know, push them into going a direction they otherwise wouldn't have gone. But Ben-tet with just the USP here, it's pretty hard to get anything done. And he's playing below the window. So basically when you play below the window, trying to hope that people kind of jump over him looking get right potentially, and he can get the kill if they do that. But unfortunately for him, they peek out the other side and just take him down from behind. And now he's finally onto the M4. Finally got some guns. And he's just going to get quickly up into ladder room here. And not do anything too aggressive in ladder. You know, he's not trying to do anything crazy. Not trying to over-peek towards middle. Not trying to peek in towards the player in underpass either. Just holding. Hoping Chaos will walk into him and playing a bit of an off angle there as well. Waiting for someone to walk in that might not be completely ready. And then he does make his way out eventually, and You know, they just kind of gift him a couple kills there. But, you know, I talk about having one hard whiff per game. That's his one hard whiff per game, maybe. He did find the first one, which was a pretty nice shot. And as soon as he found the first one, the second one was basically a gimme. I think his teammate got the second one. And the third one, I think he just didn't let his recoil reset there. I think his recoil didn't reset, so he was still kind of on the previous spray pattern. But, you know, the timing was nice there, coming up cat with his teammate, getting, you know, the crosshair placement to pre-aim the player in connector. It's not like... The thing is, it's not crazy, but it's just good. And then you just the hard whiff on the player in sight. And now they're heading into the A bomb site, but he's still worried about the flank here. I guess they haven't... I don't think they've seen all players on Chaos accounted for, so he even tosses down the smoke and holds. He knows they like to have a player go through Underpass quite often. But as his other teammate dies, you can actually see him instantly kind of turn and check the flank and just make sure nobody's pushing. Looks like they were thinking about saving, but they got the kill. And now they want to go for this one. And actually, Kusta does find the one, but Ben-tet couldn't quite find the shot to trade on cam. If he lands that headshot quickly, he has a pretty good chance to win that round. I'm not sure he's definitely going to win it, but it's not a bad chance to win it. Unfortunately, though, you know, not the easiest shot of all time, but certainly a shot he's capable of landing, and he just couldn't quite hit it on that player on ramp. And, you know, after that, 1v2 and the repeat from the Krieg, a little bit too strong to deal with. Now, this time around, he's going to be playing, you know, as the B site player. He'll be trying to hold on. Holds on to his smoke for a really long time, which is really, really good if you can hold on to that for as long as possible. Because he tosses it down at 40 seconds. That gives him a good 20 seconds to just chill for. And he ends up making his way over to bench here. And again, so he's had a couple now of those rounds that he really should be getting those kills. And he played it really well, holding on to his smoke for quite a long time there. To toss it down at about 40 seconds so that he can delay when the actual execute's coming out. Then making his way back over to bench in the right timing as well to catch the player making their way up cat. And we can just rewatch that one quickly. Time ends up ticking down. There's the smoke, flash in. So the flash puts some pressure as well. Holding the angle, tosses the molly, and he rotates his way around. So he tosses that molly to make sure that nobody can really be catching him from the side here, and he can focus on catwalk, right? So he's isolating the angles really well, but unfortunately, isolating angles only goes so far if you can't hit the shots on the people that you're isolating. They're playing with a pistol, and they're going the other way. Oh, actually, they do come back his way. And they've got the player pushed up onto ramp here. He's going to have to turn around to deal with this, but this is about as awkward as it gets, playing this angle here, long range with the CZ. But, you know, it's still a nice off angle. If they do peek out, they're probably not looking here. They might look in that corner behind him, but they're probably not looking at this exact angle. And he gets the first kill with a quick headshot, but I think his movement catches him there. I think he wanted to swing out and get out of this spot, but he got caught on that box there, and that means he didn't reposition at all, because although he did move from here to here, that's still in the same exact line as the position he was at before. And if you're in the same line, it doesn't really matter if you've moved. Your head is still in just about the same position. So really on the CT side here, he's set up a few opportunities pretty well, but he's been a victim to his aim 2 or 3 times now, actually, where he could, you know, he's still top fragging, and he ends this map as the top fragger. But really, I think if those few rounds where he just hard whiffed, you know, 2 of the rounds he kind of hard whiffed, and I think they lost both of those. And then the other round where it was the player on ramp, the Krieg, the shot he certainly could have landed, but didn't. You know, if he lands all 3 of those, they might actually win this game. But here, tosses the molly down in towards apartments, dodges the flash, turns away from the flash and dodges it, which is, you know, pretty clever. Then he ends up getting into this angle here. And this is just the angle you usually want to be in when, you're expecting them to come out. Or one of the angles you can usually be in, because you can catch them as they jump out window potentially. And he's dodged the flashes pretty effectively. Because, yeah, the reason that angle there is so good is because it's so easy to rotate over. But as soon as his teammate dies on bench, he rotates over to this side, because this is the side that, he can try and hold on to and create some space. But not being made easy on him, and Cam is going to try and force the angle, but he actually rotates around to the side of the site. So he's kind of dancing around the site here pretty effectively. He saw that Cam was coming in on the right, so he loops around to the left, and you can see he kind of took that extra step forward here to make sure he was out of Cam's sight if he was peeking out on him, and then he swings. But I think he probably could have gotten that kill on Whippy. And now with that smoke down, things just get really, really chaotic. And it's very hectic right now. And you can see Chaos is just trying to avoid him. And in avoiding him, Cam loops back around. So Cam actually jumped in the window and looped back around to catch the kill on his teammate. And once Kusta died there, Ben-tet shouldn't be winning this round. There's just 3 players looking at him from all different angles. And you can see how he's isolating the angles really well. He spots on Cat, comes around the smoke, spots in there, right? He's isolating angles really well with his movement and positioning, but, the shots are not easy to hit, and he's not hitting them. Well, I shouldn't even say not hitting them, because, there was one onto Whippy in the bomb site. He probably could have landed. But other than that, maybe the player on Van... Yeah, another day, he hits a really nice shot there, but that's a really nice shot. And the last one, I'd have to watch that back to really have an opinion on how that one's could be landed. But regardless here, 15-9, it's about to be 16-9. So Ben-tet ends up being the top fragger on his team, and in the server, he's tied. Despite, a few kills he could have picked up. And Ben-tet, I think it's apparent that he's very good in these late round situations. He's very good when it comes down to kind of outsmarting opponents. And I think, again, when he can play at his own pace, when he's given the space to work with and he's not really pressured very much, I think he does a really, really good job. But when he has to speed things up, I think that's where he struggles a little bit. And definitely the aim, it's not bad, and it's not. It's just a little bit inconsistent, it seems like. He hit a couple nice shots in this game, very nice shots, but also a couple real rough ones.